My name is Trevor Clarke. I am an attorney. I have the law office of Trevor Clarke, which is located down at 208 South Jefferson. And I help small businesses and nonprofits with all sorts of transactional needs. So I form companies, I write contracts, I write leases, I review leases. Occasionally I'll make administrative appearances, so I'll help businesses represent themselves before the city of Chicago or the state of Illinois, Department of Revenue, basic business needs. And I like to avoid adversarial proceedings, so I try to help businesses before things go wrong. So I get documents in place so that they don't have disputes later on. And I think that saves money in the long run. It's a more efficient way to practice law rather than wait until it hits the fan and then they got to go out and spend a lot of money for a big adversarial proceeding. I'm part of a small group of attorneys. It's actually a legal incubator that was set up by the Chicago Bar Foundation called the Justice Entrepreneurs Project. And we're all solo attorneys. We're not a law firm, but we do have different areas of expertise. So there are some folks there who do like to litigate more. And if something goes really wrong, then I can either talk to one of my colleagues who has more experience in that area or just refer the client to them. We're trying to serve a market that we think is underserved right now. So it's folks who make a little too much money to qualify for free legal aid through the legal service organizations, but don't make enough to want to pay somebody $300 an hour for answering questions or providing representation. And we try to meet the needs of those folks by charging flat fees so that you know what you're paying up front and you don't have to look at your watch as you're talking to somebody taking the dollars away. We also do subscription models occasionally, so I have a few clients who will pay a few $100s a month, and then I'll answer all the calls and emails they want to send my way. And that's, I think, a better way to form a relationship with the client. It encourages communication, which I think leads to better counsel down the road. I took a rather circuitous path to where I'm at now. I was a biology major in undergrad, and then I went off and taught English in Japan for a couple years. Came back and worked in medical research down at Northwestern. And in getting involved with that, I saw patent law as an interesting field to get into. So I started law school thinking I would work for generic pharmaceutical companies in brand generic patent disputes, which I know everybody thinks is the most exciting area of the law. But let me tell you, it's not. When you actually get in a law office, I work for this great boutique firm doing exactly what I wanted to do, brand generic pharmaceutical disputes. And these folks were spending 70 hours a week in the office, no vacations, stressed out all the time. And I was kind of idealistic when I got into it. I thought, you could work for the generic and fight the good fight and get, these effective drugs into the hands of more people for less cost. But in that actual world, there are no good guys. Both sides are making a lot of money. A lot of those disputes end in settlements. So the brand companies will pay the generic to keep a drug off the market, and it's kind of a slimy industry, right? But it was good training for me, and I had good patent law experience. So in my second year of law school, I got a fellowship to go down to Peru and work for their Biopiracy Commission. So that's a government agency there that tries to protect Peruvian natural resources from patenting from Western companies. So Western companies would find this drug in the Amazon that tribes had used for a particular purpose, and then they'd try to slap a patent on it, and they would reap the benefits of that patent without distributing anything to the indigenous communities that developed the use of that natural resource. That's called biopiracy. And this commission would try to prevent that. So identify the patents, break the patents, get some sort of benefit for the indigenous communities. I was using the same arguments that I used for the generic pharmaceuticals for this government agency. And down there, I was connected to just this great web of nonprofits who were doing really, really good work trying to save the environment, protect natives. It was a great group of people to be around. And when I got back to Chicago, I knew that I wanted to enter that nonprofit world. That was a lot more exciting than the patent world. And I was lucky enough to be the first intern at the MacArthur Foundation's Office of General Counsel. The MacArthur Foundation, they're like a $7 billion foundation. They give away a lot of money annually to a lot of great nonprofits, so that got me further into the nonprofit world. And I knew, I think from that point, that that's what I wanted to do with my legal career, to help nonprofits, help small businesses also, because they're trying to make a positive impact on the world. And then it's just been kind of hard work and luck that got me into the Justice Entrepreneurs Project and gave me the confidence to go out on my own and try to find those nonprofit and small business clients to help. And the firm's young. I started in 2011, and it's just been building slowly ever since.
So how do you feel about drugs now?
How do I feel about pharmaceutical drugs? Oh. I don't. Well, I'm curious. I'm curious about medicinal mushrooms. There was a brief period of time for about 3 months where I was a forager and finding mushrooms and then giving them to restaurants or people who would want to buy them. So I like to get out in the woods, and I know my mushrooms pretty well. So I'm more, I guess, to answer your question, I'm more on the natural side now, or preventative medicine, I think, is better than aggressive treatment through pharmaceuticals. And that kind of fits in with my legal philosophy, where I like to attack stuff on the front end so that it doesn't become a larger problem later on.
That's great. So you really are providing your clients, whether they're individuals or not-for-profit, a wealth of information for them to make choices on the front end, and then they could really prevent any legal problems in the future.
I think I think that's a great way to put it. And I think that's something I should focus on, and I do focus on to a certain extent, trying to provide those clients with more than just the sheet of paper that's the contract that they need. I'm very involved in the nonprofit community here and try to provide connections beyond just legal connections to my clients.
So how else do you connect with them, either like socially, or what do you do for fun then?
I do a ton of biking, and I kind of mash up my fun and my nonprofit service with my business. So just for example, yesterday I was out in North Lawndale, where I have a client, a small nonprofit, somebody I help pro bono. They're called Roll Call, and they have this wonderful tagline that's they are empowering the ex-offender, preventing the next offender. So they're an anti-recidivism group. They help people who are coming out of the justice system. So I biked over there. They wanted to take me out to lunch at this place, MacArthur's, which anybody who's been on the west side, it's a great soul food place out in Austin. Highly recommend it. Cheap. You can get your fried catfish, macaroni, and greens. So talking to them, they think I'm crazy for biking out to Austin, right? But I really enjoy biking, and I'm on the board of an organization that gets bikes into the hands of youth or folks overseas. So I was just talking with them about biking, asking how I could add value to their organization. And it turns out I'm going to connect them to another nonprofit I've worked with called the Better Boys Foundation in North Lawndale. Better Boys has a community group of youth who are looking for a project. So those folks at Better Boys are going to fix up bikes that we donate from Working Bikes. And then the recipients of those fixed up bikes will be the folks at Roll Call, who are just coming out of prison and trying to do good community work. So it's a nice network that I could provide, and that's fun also. Like, I like the bike ride out there. I'll go on rides with those folks, and it's really satisfying work to do.